Laife Denning from Spectrum Insurance, headquarters in Eau Claire, Wisconsin, and he is based himself out of Rochester, Minnesota. Correct?
That is correct, Troy.
You know, on my podcast, I always start off with a story. So tell me a story about one of your recent trucking companies that you rescued. I mean, tell me about the one that their old insurance agent wanted them to change their DOT number. Tell me about that one.
All right. So I've been working with this company for, oh gosh, I'm going to say 8 months. They weren't my client. I was just working with them. They had reached out to me. They'd had a fatality in an accident. They were working with their current insurance company broker, whom they were insuring them with, and they were being dropped because of this fatality. They had had a few other minor accidents, but nothing this big. So the broker they were working with, he didn't specialize in trucking. He dabbled in it and he knew a little bit, but a little bit too much to be dangerous. And so what he ended up doing, since they were being dropped, said, well, why don't we change your DOT number and put you in, create a whole new business? And they were like, oh, okay. They didn't want to because this had been a family business for over 20 years. But they didn't think there was any other choice because they were being dropped and he said he didn't have another market. So they did it. Well, they managed to get a hold of me because they were getting ready to go into a renewal process and they had some questions. We looked at it, we went through it, and I deep dived this one. I had to split some coverages up and managed to save them about $51,000, which that's my biggest success story so far when it comes to premium savings. But we got creative. We got really creative. And then after we got that done, then we dove into the trying to get that DOT number back. Because all of you truckers know, just like I know as a former owner operator and owning my own trucking company, our DOT number means something to us, and especially the name on the door. And this guy, he had just went through a fatality with his trucking company. He went through a burying of his daughter. She had passed away just unexpectedly, losing his dog in the same week. I mean, this guy was going through the shit. Pardon my French, but he was going through it. So, fought really hard. We got his DOT number back and his name of his company back on his door. As of Friday, they will be lettering all of their trucks up. And so, yeah, that was my favorite one. That was my biggest success story. I've never fought so hard in my life to get somebody in a better spot. And that motivated me. Now I want to continue to fight like that for other people.
So let me get this straight. This was not even your client, and somehow you were helping him, and you caught wind of he was involved. One of his drivers was involved in a fatality, and his previous insurance agent wanted him to change his DOT number. They did, and it just was going downhill from there. You came along and saved him a lot of money and worked to get his DOT number back. And basically, I don't want to say you saved the day, but it's for this guy, like you said, he went through that. He went through losing his daughter. He went through his dog, the whole 9 yards, all in one shot. You came and Lord willing saved the day, but you would go that length for every company though. Like this isn't just him alone. If you have to go that far for any of your clients, this is what you do, correct?
That is correct. Yes, we have a lot of different tools since we specialize in trucking on how to navigate. We can get creative. We can just get creative. And a lot of guys don't get creative anymore with insurance policies. And we're not sacrificing coverages, but we have different ways of getting creative.
Now, Leif, I've been in the industry a long time. Okay. We have a couple topics we want to cover. And to be honest with you, I was never an owner operator myself. So I see here a note here. It says the power of reviewing cab reports, CAB reports. And then you had made a little note. It says most clients don't realize that they can challenge unwanted or inaccurate items on their cab card. Can you touch a little bit about that? For TalkCDL.
Yes. So the cab report, just like going to the FMCSA page or going to Safer, you can pull up a somewhat detailed list of what's going on with with your company. It's a snapshot that insurance carriers look at and the DOT. When you're going through the weight scales, that's popping up your cab score. So a cab score goes from 1 to 100, 1 being great, 100 being terrible. And if you keep wondering why every time you're going through the scales and you're getting pulled over, that has to do with your cab score. If it's in the red, most likely you're getting pulled through every time. So yes, like you said, we can challenge unwanted violations on there. And what I do is if you give me a call, I'll pull a cab report, email it to you, and let's talk about it. Let's see what we can do. And it takes some legwork and it's going to take some work on both of our behalfs, but I want to provide more of a service for you than just an insurance policy. So if I can provide that to you, that's gold in itself. That I'm showing you I'm worth the hire because you're hiring me. So yes, that cab report, that is vital. The insurance carriers, they live and die by that. They look at that and they see 4 out of services, 7 inspections. Yeah, we gotta work on some things.
And the one thing I've learned about with drivers over the years, Leif, drivers will get a ticket. I'm just using this as an example to the cab card. They'll get a speeding ticket for like a 15 or 20 over, and they'll just plead guilty and pay the ticket. But then they end up really messing themselves up for the next few years in insurance or getting a job. Where if they would have just challenged it, went to court, oh, I don't have time, blah, blah. Well, it would have been worth it for them to actually do it. This is, it sounds like what you're saying here with these cab reports, probably a lot of times they get a violation and don't challenge it. They just go about their business, and then later on, you got all these reports showing up. You can step in and say, "Let's challenge some of these reports that are on here. Let's talk about it." Instead of just accepting a higher cab report.
That is correct. I just dealt with a guy, Troy, Alabama. He had been pulled over down in Alabama, 21 violations.
Wow.
21 violations and like 6 or 7 were out of service. That's a death sentence when it comes to insurance. I don't care if you have 1 truck or 100, you're going to be paying for it. But good thing was we talked to him, he went and fought the ticket. We actually got the letter from the court saying all those charges were dismissed, and we're currently in the process of fighting that with CAB right now.
Wow. And again, I myself really didn't know much about cab reports because I was never really an owner. So,
Yeah.
having you explain
Neither did
this.
I when I was an owner.
Yeah, so there you go. So you were an owner and didn't even understand it yourself. And this is just one of those little things that will haunt you, when it comes to, getting insurance and dealing with different entities in the industry. So yeah, thank you for explaining that. And any of you owner operators or small fleet owners that are out there listening to this, you know, give Leif a call and have him look at your cab report, and maybe he can help you in that respect. Something else you wanted to talk about today is direct communication, Leaf. Um, I guess we had talked about that earlier. Uh, when they dial your number, they get you or your secretary, one of the two. They're not going to get a automated uh, answering service. Press this button, press that button,
Yeah.
and that takes 15 minutes. And Ruth Ann and I were on one the other day. We went through this whole automated thing, and then I was driving. I said, "Here, Ruth Ann, you take over." And she goes, "I think the automated thing hung up on you." So we never even got a hold of anybody. Anyways, it was a nightmare.
Well, what made me think of that when I emailed you and we discussed it a little bit was I was on with the Department of Transportation in Alabama helping that gentleman. I bet we went through 7 or 8 different channels, but got dropped once or twice, for sure twice. I'm pretty sure twice. And then to get back to the starting phase, every time I talked to somebody, I would just ask, "What number are you transferring me to?" Because I kept going backwards and starting over. So yes, the number that I'll provide you here in this is my cell phone number. It's the phone that is on my side every day. So you can call me 7 days a week. Preferably if it's not an emergency, not on the weekends, but I'll still take your call. But if it's an emergency, please feel free to call me. And then my account manager, you'll have direct access to them as well. So it's not calling and getting a service at all. You will get direct contact with us.
Leif, if I was an owner, just that part of you would make me want to sign up with you just for the fact that I'd like if I'm out there driving a truck, that's what I want to do. But I got a guy that can hold my hand. I can pick up the phone and call you and literally have you go, okay, tell me about what you need, and you just take over from there, and you're the man doing it. I would rather be able to get a hold of somebody to tell my problem to and explain my problem to. Just that
I'll
alone.
even sit on and guide you through your claim process. I've done it many times. We call the carrier together, we talk together. Two sets of ears is better than one when we're dealing with these situations. So, yeah, I'm here for you.
So you're the old-fashioned insurance agent. You answer the phone and get it taken care of. About that, how important, life is it really to have an insurance agent that knows trucking versus one that handles everything in the industry?
Well, it is important. We can only be good at so many things in life. And I think we can that's testimony anywhere in our lives. Trucking's my world, and I've become a student of it as far as on the insurance side. The owning the company had its own stressors and kept me awake many nights trying to figure out how to pay bills. But insurance it's one of your top 3, expenses when you own a business. And if you don't work with a specialist, are you getting truly the full boat that you need? You know what I mean?
You know, as you're talking, I'm thinking to myself, insurance. It's one of those things that you have to have. But why not have an insurance that's convenient and that really has your back for real? Because
Yeah,
there's a million different companies that'll sell you insurance, but it's when you need them or when you need to understand something and have questions, that's when it separates.
absolutely. And if I don't have the answer, I'll have the answer to you. I sell as a team, so I work with a bunch of guys that are veterans in the industry as well. And so we table a lot of these different scenarios, and we come up with better ways to assist in you guys, our truckers, to save money, to be able to be more efficient. We offer a lot of different services at Spectrum, such as the 24-hour certificates. So you don't have to wait to get a load. You can pull it instantly. We have a DOT compliance guy, Troy, and I tell you, this guy, when it comes to questions, he's an old trucker still. He's still pulling gears on the weekend. He's 71 years old. We call him Frosty. This guy dives in with the truckers and will navigate through some of these hard things that they're going through. If it's an audit that they don't understand, Frosty's there talking through with it. So, yeah, that's why working with a specialist matters. I would love to write a whole bunch of different kinds of businesses because there's so many different fun things to learn about and insure, but then I wouldn't be great at one thing. And I just want to be great at trucking.
So of course you're like any other agent, you're going to try to save the money, but somewhat it sounds like so much more comes with signing up with you. They're going to get somebody that always answers their phone. They're going to get and not have to work, with an automated service. They're going to get somebody that literally knows the industry, somebody that knows about cab reports and helps keep your business to a minimum as far as infractions go on these cab reports. They're going to get somebody that literally has a DOT guy in the shadows waiting to help if like an audit or something comes up. We've got Frosty and he's our go-to guy that's going to say, okay, let's sit down with these guys and help them. So they're signing up with you. They're getting so much more than just an insurance policy, Leif.
Yeah, they really are. And I tell you, that 24-hour certificate, that's a lifesaver too. I remember pulling loads trying to book freight and waiting for my insurance guy to wake up the next morning so I could get a certificate. Now they can do it right at the touch of their fingers on their phone. and they don't even need to wake me up or wait for me. They can get it done.
Leif, before we end this interview, explain to me about the 24-hour certificate. Because again, this is another thing that I'm pretty much dumb to.
Okay, so a lot of us when we're booking freights, we go on like DAT is one of the load boards, and we're watching it because we might be sitting there trying to catch a load back home. Well, that load might post at 5:30, 6 o'clock at night, and I see it, and in order to lock it up, I have to provide them with certificate of insurance in order for me to pick it up, and they need to be listed as a cert holder on that. So they can do that right from their cell phone. The companies that aren't doing 24-hour certs aren't really doing a lot in the trucking world because they don't see the importance of being able to do a 24-hour certificate.
So you're saying each load you book with, like, say on the DAT, the DAT board, even if it's at midnight, that particular load is going to need a certificate of insurance. If if tomorrow night I book another load, I need to get another certificate. Each time I pick up a load, I need a certificate. And what you're saying is 24/7, you guys are available to give out a certificate.
Yes, we have a system we pay for called the CSR 24
That's
and stands for
awesome.
24 hours a day. CSR is a account manager or someone that helps with insurance, and so it's a 24-hour CSR right there for you to handle getting that certificate. Um, it saves you the time. The not being able to book a load is frustrating. And you can't change coverages, which that's okay. And the reason why these shippers are requiring the certificate is, let's say Troy, I've got $150,000 commodity load and I need you to pull it for me, but you're only insured up to $100,000. That puts me as the shipper on the hook for the other 50,000. So that's why these shippers are requiring these certificates is because they want to make sure you're insured properly enough to pull that load for them.
Is there anything we missed that you really wanted to touch on before we wrap this thing up?
Just a little background about me being an owner operator. So I've had my CDL since 1994. I got it in Sun Prairie, Wisconsin, out of a little trucking outfit there. Then I've been driving up until 2017. I've been driving, and then went into the insurance world when the wife started going, "Hey, I want you home with these littles a little bit more." So I got creative, and the good Lord allowed it to work out that I landed in a phenomenal company with Spectrum Insurance that I couldn't ask for a better company to work for. A boss that is truly, truly a gentleman and wants to help people and encourages us to be the same way. He handpicks us, selected us because a characteristic about us is that we want to give back. We care. It's not all about money. I would rather fight to save you money in order to keep you for a lifetime as a client than to gouge you on the first year out and then you're moving on. So I get it from both sides. I get it from being behind the wheel and I own trucks and I get being scared every day trying to figure out how I'm gonna make things work. Well, let me take that away. I don't want you to fear insurance. Let me help you through it. I own a company called truckinginsuranceguide.com, which you guys can jump on and you can fill out the information right there. You don't even have to call me if you don't want, or you can call me at 507-884-1312. That's my cell phone number, and I'll answer it. And if I don't answer, I'll text you and we'll talk.
Well, before I say thank you for coming on, I just want you to know from my heart, I actually believe everything you said. Salesmen, they want to, sell themselves a lot, but I truly believe that you are the guy that answers the phone. I do believe you are the guy that will go
I
the
am.
extra mile to take care of these guys because, like you said, it's all about retaining them and helping. That's another thing, just right from the heart, just saying I want to help. So I do believe you, and thank you for becoming a sponsor on TalkCDL. You're always invited back, and I'm going to go ahead and let you go. Appreciate you.
Thanks, brother. You take
Thank
care. God bless.